this is the Für Elise of Beethoven, probably the most beloved teaching piece. It was published 40 years after Beethoven died, and now it's probably the most famous composition that he wrote. We think that this was written for a woman named Elise. It could have been Teresa, a woman that he knew, a friend and a student of his, who he actually proposed marriage to in 1810, and she rejected him. The piece is built around the sentiment of wistfulness and longing, which I don't think many people think about, because the theme is rather hackneyed. There are other moments in the piece that are absolutely profound and deep, which I can't wait to get into with you. This is called a bagatelle. It's actually a rondo. A rondo has the return of the main theme. So our main theme that I played most of for you just now is the A section. Then there's a B, the A comes back. There's a C, and finally the A. I made for you with your 4-page chart, we will get into all of those 4 pages, an additional addendum called the satellite view, which shows these wonderful sections of the piece. I put the pink box for the A, the blue for the B. So here you can see it very clearly. A, B, A, C, A. When we think of the theme of Für Elise, what do we think of? Well, it's built on the 5-finger pattern of A minor. We are in the key of A minor. We had the whole scale in A harmonic minor. We would have a raised 7th step, the raised G sharp, which is what we hear. The G sharp. Our A minor is a D, but Beethoven uses a raised D, a raised 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4 becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So right away, it has that exotic quality to it. It starts with the 5th and the raised 4th and the 5th. The nucleus of the theme actually begins on the downbeat, and it has the notes of E, D sharp, E, and goes down B, D, C, A. That's the nucleus. The upbeat, what comes before that nucleus, is what I'm going to base this lesson on. It is the defining difficulty of the piece. It's the point in the piece where people have problems learning it and remembering which comes where. If I start from the music here, the first beat, the first measure of the piece is only the 3rd beat. It's an upbeat. Why is that important? Why didn't Beethoven just begin the piece on the downbeat? Why didn't he start? Because that doesn't have the character he wants. By putting the beginning on the upbeat, 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. It lifts you. If you were conducting in 3/4 meter, you would go 1, 2, 3. The upbeat lifts you. So from the very first opening, we are lifted with our 3rd beat. So play that lightly. 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. 3 and 1 and 3 and 1. And 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. And 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. That's the opening 8-measure phrase. Notice with my addition, I got it all on one line. The opening of the piece, that repeats again with the 3 and 1. Then we go on. Notice I have 3 systems, 1, 2, and 3. That's the entire A section, which repeats identically like this 3 other times in the piece. Going on to our second strip here, our second section, we go to the relative major, C major. With the upbeat here. What a difference already going to the C major. How long do we stay here? Not long. We're out already. Now this is the key point right here. What is that? That's an E in the bass and a B in the right hand. Look at the distance here. This is a huge leap. 1 octave, 2 octaves. Over 2.5 octaves. It's a fifth. And it's setting up the point in the piece where you're going to need to count. Now I made a fabulous addendum. This is a pedal point in the piece. It's the E, the dominant of our A minor. It's a holding. There's nothing happening here. Just in the large blow-up version here, this is what is happening. I'll play it just straight through as written, and then we're going to break it down. This is the weak link measure analysis of these 5 measures. Coming in the middle of the A section here. It's an awful lot of E's and D sharps and E's. And what I highly recommend, and what I did for my own study here, is to block the broken E octaves, which there are 4 in blue. So I jump from this low E up an octave. I play this octave with the left hand, this with the right, and then I just move it all up an octave, left hand, right hand. So that's easy to learn. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I take my D sharp and E, which is the motive of the piece, that harmonic nucleus of the half step, D sharp to E. He's using almost like a mantra. Here he's using it as a rhythmic segue, and this is a good way to do this. Left hand, right hand, left hand. Then you have your pickup, and 3 and 1. Now I made this huge here, and 3 and 1. This is the mantra of the piece. This and 3 and 1 comes 4 times in the piece. And it's always difficult because it's a little bit off. So you need to learn this. And 3 and 1. And 3 and 1. Different than the opening, which was 3 and 1. Opening was E, D sharp. This is D sharp, E, D sharp, and then downbeat. So blocking, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, mantra, and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Learn it like that and you will have no problems. As written without the blocks, it sounds like this. And I'm going to count out loud here. The counting, what I always do with difficult counting, I take an orange colored pencil and I put it vertically as the downbeat. 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2 and 3, 1. Because this is the part, it's just awkward, it's difficult, it's unwieldy. So with counting, 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 1. Up to tempo. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Now I wrote in my edition here poco rubato. It's very interesting. In the early facsimiles that we have available of this edition, there were no tempo marks at all. No rubato, no retard, no a tempo. But there needs to be something. In my mind's eye, with this dominant holding pattern here, he's just marking time. He could have gone forever. This is an inquiry. This is going inside. Don't forget, he was in love with this woman, and he's asking himself, does she love me? This is my interpretation of it. So we can have some lingering. We can have a little bit of thinking and and reflection and introspection. But then once that theme comes back, and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, we're back. Going on to the B section of the piece. And at the end of that, we are going to get to the other part of this practice addendum. And I have something remarkable to share with you, and something pretty daring that I did with this edition that hasn't been done in over 150 years. So we'll come back with that one. Going on to our page 2, very easy, B section. And what does he start with? Our mantra, and 3 and 1, without any warning at all. And 3 and 1. Where did that come from? F major, just like that. And 3 and 1. Now on these grace notes, it's important to play them on the beat. To B flat, the 4th note of the F major scale. There's a 7th. Feel the tension. Beautiful cluster. That is so beautiful. On the beat. We're getting out of F. From F to C. This section here, I'm often told by my students, oh, this looks too difficult. It's got all those beams there, all those 30-second notes. That's scary. I don't know how to count that. It's not scary at all. If we just keep our 3 beats, slowly it will sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Did you notice the mantra coming again here? In the left hand, 1, 2, and 3, and 1. Do you see how important that and 3 and 1 is? That rhythmic motive is everywhere. What I like to do in the right hand is to block, and you'll hear on the lower notes, going up the notes of the C scale. I use all thumbs until the last D of that measure with the 2, and then I switch hand positions. That's really a first inversion of our C major triad. And we're coming down the scale. Going up the scale. Now where's he going? Let's take a look at the left hand and we'll have a better answer. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Exact repeat. And 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1. Suddenly, that, look at the distance again. That's a first inversion of E major, which is the dominant of our home key A minor. And now we come to this exciting re-engraving that I did. This is the blow-up version. This is what your music looks like. This is the, hasn't been seen this way since the early edition of 1867 and 1888 out of Stuttgart and Leipzig respectively. And when I went to actually figure out the difference of the upbeats, it became essentially important to have a difference between the first time coming out of the middle of the A section and where we are now coming out of the B section. When they're all in the right hand, this motive here, it makes it so easy to track. You might think of our motive 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 as a phone number, and the upbeats as the area code. You might think that way because then you are understanding that these upbeats are all a little bit different. 4 of them are and 3 and 1. The B section is simply N1. And that B section coming over here in our large version, remember we're on our dominant holding pattern again here. 2, 3, 1, 2 and 3 and 1, 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. Now just a single upbeat D sharp and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. And that is where everybody has problems. I've been teaching this piece for 30 years. And every single time, without fail, the students have a very difficult time keeping in their heads the difference between those two, the middle of the A section and coming out of the B. So by keeping these all in the right hand and just playing 3 of them, 1, 2, 3, breath, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. There's no confusion. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, breath, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 3 and 1. It's a really beautiful melody, isn't it? And 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Of course, it goes on, as we know. Then we go to our C section. And this is a really marvelous moment in the piece. This starts to get dark and dense and foreboding. You don't think of those adjectives, do you? In the context of Für Elise. But look what happens here. To make it even more dense, look what he does in the right hand here at the beginning of the C section. Oh my gosh, that's a diminished chord. A 6th parallel. Another tritone. Parallel 6ths. That's deeper Beethoven right there. This is not trivial. If I didn't have this repeated note motive going on in the left hand and all I had was a single note, it wouldn't have the tension. This is almost like impending, frightening almost. I mean, it's creating such a suspense. Listen without the repeated notes. Where is the suspense? Tritones together. But we add this now, this repeated note. Beethoven loves repeated note motives. Don't forget the da 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 da. He's always using repeated notes. And they're usually slightly portato, which is not staccato, and it's like a long staccato. Out on a diminished chord. It's stacked with 3 little thirds. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. That's how you can tell a diminished chord. See how lyrical this is, how expressive. A's. Lyrical cantando. It's sad, it's crying. D sharp. To the A minor. We can't stay here forever, so how is he going to get out? Right there. How marvelous. Now notice what I did with this addition. I have 2 lines only for the middle section of C, the section of C. And the bar lines line up. This is identical. This is identical, and right here is the difference. Makes it very easy to see, very easy to learn. The second time through of our C section, we step up in that third measure to the fourth measure, we step up to the B flat. So let me start that last system here. Again, the vast distance. Let that take you somewhere. Feel the expanse of this. What's coming? Oh, how beautiful. I wish we could stay there forever, but we can't. Right out. Another diminished. What's coming? Page 4. A cadenza on the A minor triad. This is a bit of fantasy. Look at what he does here. So beautiful. He's just going up the A minor triad that many times. And then this is the amazing part of the piece, which leads me to another addendum. This chart is bulging with addendums. I put so much thought into how to present this piece because it's so commonly misplayed. People either have too many D sharp E's or not enough. And I hear this from other teachers. It's just very, very difficult for the students to keep track of it. With this addendum here, you can see very clearly, and I'm getting to the cadenza right now. But let's just reiterate. If I take the end of the middle of section A here, there's our nucleus with the first beat. Coming out of section B with that pickup, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Exactly the same, exactly the same. Now what he does with getting back to the A, out of the C section, out of the cadenza, it's a seamless segue. It's absolutely ingenious what he does. Coming from the very, very top here. Two, three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Absolutely flows in. It's the only time in the piece where there's no upbeat. More tempo. Now what I suggested here is to ease off the pedal. Beethoven was really imaginative, partly because of his impending deafness. He wrote this piece when he was 40, and by then he was really having some hearing problems. And he would go many times into these muted, blurred tonalities with the sostenuto pedal and things not sounding too real. Maybe that's how he heard. But I like to try to duplicate a slight blurring of the boundaries here with the suggestion of easing the pedal off, coming from the top of that. Not too real. 1, 2, surreal, and then back to home. 3, 1, 2, and 3, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and 1, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and 1, and 3, and 1, and 3, and 1, and 3, and 1. This is the final A. I recommend highly that you practice this slowly and really let these harmonies saturate your hearing and the molecules inside of your body, especially in that C section. So the last thing I wanted to say again with our satellite view, which is really such a help. Did you know that theme 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 comes 16 times in the piece? No wonder it sounds so hypnotic. That's a lot of repetition. It comes here and here, here and here. So that's 4 times in the A section. But since that first A section repeats, that's a total of 8. 4 more here, it's 12. And 4 more here, 16. And what I wanted to point out to you here that makes the upbeat analysis stunningly clear. And I wrote it in the margins here. The opening starts 3 and 1. That's that prefix. This one, and 3 and 1. This is all our theme 1 in the pink that I put here. Here's our B, coming out of the B with a blue box, and 1. See the upbeat? They're keeping track of where they come. And 3 and 1, bottom of our page 1 of the satellite view. And look at this, the cadenza. There it is right there. The pink starts here. I didn't want to interrupt my long cadenza phrase. I could have put this over here, but I like it here because it also shows that just sneaks in. That last time the A comes back, you just kind of glides into it. It's a beautiful moment. See, he's breaking up the monotony of 16 repetitions of the nucleus. And finally our close, and 3 and 1. Beethoven is one of our heroes. He exemplified man's triumph, the spirit of the human condition triumphing over all obstacles, the fact that he could triumph over his deafness and write some of the most magnificent things we've ever heard. Sublime, really. So out of adversity sometimes can come the greatest gifts. So whatever you're dealing with in your life, embrace your adversity. Out of it is a silver lining. And also with Beethoven, his balance with nature. And I think maybe this is why he was able to balance out adversity. He would take walks in the woods every single day, getting back in touch with nature, breathing, smelling the smells, and just being with that ultimate stillness and peace, the eternal stillness of nature, centered him. So take your walks, take your moments of meditation for absolute stillness. Get back in touch with our real roots, and your interpretations will emerge in a new and fresh and authentically unique way. Thank you.